Wes Craven's New Nightmare plants the meta-horror seed that would eventually give us Scream just 2 years later. And while Scream is a masterpiece that takes on the horror genre as a whole, New Nightmare is a biting commentary on, I'm not 100% sure. I think it's mainly taking aim at Wes Craven's multitude of enemies. But as you all know, I took half a semester of film theory at Gudger College, so let's dive right on into this. Cue the title card, Jerry. Oh, this movie doesn't have one. What? Oh, well, cue up something.
More to life than what you're living, so take a chance and face the wind. An open road and a road that's hit, a brand new life around the bend. There were times I lost a dream or two, found a trail, and at the end was you. There's a path we take and a path not taken. The choice is up to you, my friend. The nights are long, but you might wake to a brand new life, brand new life, brand new life around the bend.
So New Nightmare follows Heather Langenkamp, who played Nancy Thompson in Nightmare on Elm Street 1 and 3, and in this movie she plays herself and she lives in Hollywood with her special effects coordinator husband Chase, and their son Dylan, played by the forever child Miko Hughes. Dylan is either 4 or 11, just like every other movie that Miko Hughes was in that you know of. He was either 4 or 11. You just can't tell. He was just always a wee lad. And we begin with Heather having a nightmare about a new Nightmare on Elm Street movie, and the new Freddy glove that the text came up with comes to life and kills 2 special effects techs, Chuck and Terry, and cuts Chase's finger before Heather wakes up to an earthquake. And after the earthquake, Heather notices that Chase has a cut on his finger. And Chase has to leave town to work on a commercial, and Heather comes downstairs and finds Dylan watching the original Nightmare on Elm Street.
You okay, Tina?
Just a dream, Mom.
Coming back to the sack,
Hold your horses.
Take it easy, Tina's mom's boyfriend. They never mention his name and you never see him again, but I'm guessing his name's probably like Trent or something. It's like every stepdad is named either Randy or Jeff, and every mom's boyfriend is named either Trent or Lonnie.
Okay, Dylan, I'll admit some of the jokes were a little forced and not as polished, but Distracted Nerd was still finding his voice. Like, it wasn't that bad. And Heather has to get to an interview, so the babysitter Julie comes over to take care of Dylan. Also, Heather has been receiving obscene phone calls from a stalker.
Hello?
Freddy's coming for you!
Wes Craven added this because Heather Langenkamp was actually dealing with a stalker at this time. So I guess it's like a form of therapy because it never really comes up again. They talk about it, but it doesn't really do anything. And then she gets reunited with Freddy himself, Robert Englund, who again, does nothing. It's fun to see Robert Englund in here playing himself, but yeah, he could have been omitted completely and this movie would have been exactly the same. And Heather gets a call from New Line Cinema because producer Robert Shea wants to set up a meeting. And we learn that Wes Craven has an idea for a new Nightmare on Elm Street sequel that he's just psyched out of his mind about.
Look, Heather, let me cut to the chase. How would you like to join us in the definitive nightmare?
And also, this movie's very meta, but it's a little too meta. It's like for an audience of like 8 people. This is the actual producer of Nightmare on Elm Street, Robert Shea, but nobody knows what Robert Shea looks like. They could have just hired an actual actor. No one would have known the difference. And so Heather goes home and Dylan is having a nightmare in the middle of the day. Again, this movie is not really scary. Everything's happened at noon. And Heather panics and calls Chase in Palm Springs.
He's had some sort of a episode.
What? What kind of episode?
Like a very special Blossom or one of the more serious episodes of Fresh Prince, because those are 2 very different kinds of episodes. It's more like that Boy Meets World when Sean joins a cult.
Okay. I'm coming home.
So while Heather waits for Chase, she puts Dylan to bed, and man, is this kid just a weirdo.
Banging the door shut and bolting it tight. The witch howled. That's enough.
The witch howled like a scalded cat, but Gretel ran and left her there to perish nonetheless. She ran to her brother as fast as she could and flung open the door. Hansel, Hansel, she cried, we are saved. The witch is dead.
What a goofy little weirdo. God, he's so weird. And so Chase is driving home when he begins to fall asleep at the wheel. And then the glove attacks and eviscerates Chase, and the truck crashes. Heather has to go to the morgue to identify his body, and apparently this morgue is just behind on their quota. Like, there's just bodies everywhere. And they just let her randomly walk through. He's over here, ma'am, and I have to warn you, it's pretty gruesome. His penis was severed in the crash, and oh no, where did it go? I left it right here. Hey guys, have you seen his wiener? I put it away. Have you seen his wiener? Heather notices giant claw marks on Chase's chest and she storms out. And now also at this time, Heather Langenkamp was married to a real-life special effects coordinator named David Anderson. I like to imagine that David was watching his on-screen counterpart die in horribly violent fashion at the premiere of New Nightmare, and then he just looks down the row at Wes Craven, and Wes is just glaring at him, and then David's like, holy shit, what the hell did I do to Wes? He was my son's Little League coach. He's been to our house for Thanksgiving, for God's sakes. Am I in danger? Well, the answer, Dave, is yes. You were in danger, but checking IMDb, you're still alive, so it appears as though Wes got sidetracked with other projects and forgot about his one-sided feud with you. Wes had a lot of enemies. The real Fred Krueger was his main nemesis, though. Poor dumb son of a bitch. Earthquake hits at the funeral, and Heather gets knocked out and has a nightmare that Freddy's trying to steal her son. She gets helped up by John Saxon, who played Nancy's dad in the original Nightmare on Elm Street. And the next day, John and Heather talk at the park while Dylan plays on the playground, and she tells John how she's been having nightmares about Freddy, and that Dylan's been acting weird. And right on cue, the little weirdo just goes off being a weird little guy. And my Uncle Greg was actually the stuntman for Miko Hughes, and he biffed his landing and really hurt Heather Langenkamp. Wes Craven was furious and told my Uncle Greg that after he was done with David Anderson, he was coming for Greg.
God wouldn't take me.
God wouldn't take you. I would say that Dylan is too old for that nonsense, but I have no idea how old this kid is supposed to be. So that night, Heather wakes up to find Dylan again watching the original Nightmare on Elm Street.
But Glenn falls asleep, and while everyone else got taunted and tormented by Freddy over the course of several nightmares, this time, Freddy was through messing around.
Wakey, wakey, Glenn. Come to Papa. Oh, shit. I must have nicked an artery. How am I ever gonna pin this on someone else? How do you have so much blood inside of you? Even for a dream, this seems like too much blood.
And up until this point, Freddy has killed people and made it either look like someone else did it, or it was a suicide, and I don't know how the cops are going to try to make sense of this one. Okay, folks, nothing to see here. This is clearly a young man who overdosed on a marijuana cigarette.
Oh my God, okay, I get it, kid. I know it was early distracted nerd, but I don't think it was that bad. Still better than CinemaSins. Speaking of one-sided feuds! So Heather takes Dylan to the hospital to get checked out, but Dr. Hefner wants to keep Dylan overnight for observation because she thinks that Heather's been letting Dylan watch Nightmare on Elm Street, and that's what's causing his night terrors. And we learn that Dr. Hefner is named after another Craven nemesis, Richard Hefner, who was the head of the MPAA, and Wes thought that he was way too strict about censorship. So meta, and yet so relatable. And Heather goes to talk to Wes, and he confirms that he's getting his script ideas from his own nightmares.
It's about this entity. It's old. It's very old. It's existed in different forms in different times. Every so often they imagine a story good enough to sort of catch its essence, and then for a while it's held prisoner in the story. Well, see, he's sort of gotten used to being Freddy now.
So, it. This monster is basically it. And so Heather falls asleep and gets attacked by the new Freddy demon. She manages to wake up and goes to see her son that she abandoned in the hospital. And she falls asleep in his room and again dreams of the new Freddy. And Nancy wakes up freaking out, and Dr. Hefner calls hospital security on her. And Heather tells Julie to not let Dylan fall asleep.
It's just a little shot to see that he gets some sleep.
No, his mother specifically said... I said no.
Do it.
And Julie knocks the nurses out of the room, but Dylan falls asleep, and the new Freddy emerges. And I love how Freddy now dresses like a Ninja Turtle that's trying to blend in on the surface. And even though Julie is awake and can't see him, Freddy is now able to murder her in extremely brutal fashion, and her death is a nod to Tina's death from the original Nightmare on Elm Street. The effect was achieved by filming in a rotating room. And now the original rotating room was inspired by Fred Astaire's dance sequence in the 1951 musical Royal Wedding, where Fred Astaire was dancing on the ceiling moments before he brutally stabbed Jane Powell to death. So Julie's dead and Dylan is missing, and Heather takes off to find him, and she tracks him to the freeway where Freddy is now giant and able to pick him up and dangle strangle him in front of cars? Like, I don't understand his powers. And then Dylan manages to take off again and he runs back home where John Saxon is waiting.
You saw him, didn't you?
Coming for you.
Can this kid just answer a damn question? In probably one of the 3 actually good scenes, everything starts to slowly transform into the original Nightmare on Elm Street. And new Freddy is kind of waiting to come into our world, and he only does once Heather finally commits.
I love you too, Daddy.
It's really cool. And then, unfortunately, we have the last 15 minutes of this movie.
To be there to arrest him when I bring him out, okay?
Nancy, just tell me who did it. I'll go get him, baby.
Fred Krueger did it, Daddy.
Yeah, sure.
Nancy then sets Freddy on fire and screams for her dad to come help. And leap!
This wasn't my fault. The fire had all but burned itself out, but this broad is just soaked in alcohol.
And so she goes inside and does what most people in Hollywood do on a Friday night, ingest mystery pills that she finds on the floor. Heather/Nancy slides down into, I guess, the sewer where Freddy lives, and Freddy chases Dylan into a furnace. And I always love the behind-the-scenes story about The Shining, where they did everything they could to try to shield Danny Lloyd from the fact that he was in a horror movie. And in this movie, they were just like, okay, Miko, now this monster is going to eat your head. All right, and action. And actually, in an extremely meta turn, it was found out later that Wes Craven was doing a Bowfinger type situation where Heather Langenkamp did not even know that she was in a movie, and actors were running up to her performing their scenes, and then they were just filming her react from hidden cameras. And it was a radical new form of filmmaking, and it was working great until Heather almost killed Robert Englund by stabbing him in the taint. And so they shove Freddy into the furnace and they just burn him to death. I don't know. I don't really get this evil entity, but apparently he can just catch on fire. And Heather and Dylan fall back into our world where Heather finds the completed script.
We open on an old wooden bench. There's fire and tools, and a man's grimy hands building what soon is revealed as a gleaming set of claws.
Yeah, Heather, maybe just gloss over the severed penis portion.
Don't open any champagne yet, scrap iron breath.
Like, Scarlett, a lot of your insults have to do with his appearance and his metal head. There's plenty of legitimate things to make fun of him about, but don't bring looks into it. I would say he can't help the way he looks, but maybe he can. I don't know if it was voluntary that his face is metal, or is he made of metal and then the rest of him is like synthetic, like human armor? Like, is that his actual chest, or is that some sort of weird shirt? Yeah, I don't know.
This can't be happening. I'm wiped out.
Uh-oh, better make sure all the windows are secure. This dude looks like a jumper.
I made a fortune today.
You heartless ghoul. Your buddy just lost everything.
Cortland, you're president of the exchange. What do you make of this?
I don't know. I've never seen anything like it before.
It's like the news, but it's on paper.
You're just like this heap. A hunk of metal with arms and legs instead of wheels. But this heap doesn't mock me the way you do.
Hey, Corey, nice shirt. Did they make it in a men's?
And I don't know why, but I would like to see how Corey would react to being given a speaking spell instead of Alicia.
This isn't real flesh. There aren't any nerves under there. There aren't any muscles or tendons.
Ow. Why?